It's Mazzy, and I'm going to showcase 10 great cover versions of songs. This is in honor of and for Nick Rudow, who is a part of the vinyl community and has put together a contest. He thinks people should showcase cover versions that are better versions. I'm weaving in and out of that, and I'll explain my take on that. I selected 10, and let's get right into it. So some great cover versions. First, I want to start out with Season of the Witch. Season of the Witch is a song that I love, and I love the original by Donovan, and it's a wonderful song. Al Cooper arranged and redid an inside-out version of that song, extended an amazing version with Mike Bloomfield. An amazing bass part of Harvey Brooks on Super Session, 1968 Super Session album, with one side Steve Stills joining them and one side Mike Bloomfield joining Al Cooper. This is an incredible record, very much of the late 60s blues rock vein, but it really good. The version is a long extended version of, like it's an 11-minute version of the Donovan song with jams and bass parts and really beautifully recorded. So if you're a CD person, check out the CD because there's a whole other mix with horns that really build up, and that's an incredible version. I don't think that version is available on vinyl, but the Donovan song's great, but this brings it to another level. And to me, the great thing, or the best covers are the covers when artists take the original and turn it inside out and make it theirs. There's no sense, from my point of view, when someone just covers a song and it's a duplicate of the original song, except for that one kind of novelty record Todd Rundgren did called Faithful. I'm not showcasing that, where he covered a lot of things like Strawberry Fields and Good Vibrations, I believe, and some other things. So anyway, let's get on with the debut 1980 Pretenders album. A promo copy, by the way, and the song on here, Stop Your Sobbing. What a great song by the Kinks. I think they actually improved on the song. That's one of those songs that was never like it never jumped out at me on the Kinks album, as much as I love the Kinks and they're one of my favorite bands. This version really just set the standard of that song and made it really an interesting song. So Chrissie Hynde, Stop Your Sobbing, the Kinks, Pretenders. Ella Fitzgerald live in Berlin. This is, if you don't have any Ella Fitzgerald, or if you have some of the cover or some of the songbook like Irving Berlin, this is the one to get. This is the best live album. This is like a definitive live album where Ella Fitzgerald really shines. Live in Berlin, there's so many variations. You can get the Verve version cheap. She has a lot of different takes on songs, but she does this kind of scat version of High the Moon ends the album. But before that, it starts with Mac the Knife. And Mac the Knife, her version of that is incredible. The whole intro, she says, you haven't heard a girl do this song, because many of you know the big hit, not the first version, but the #1 Billboard hit was by Bobby Darin. And Mac the Knife was a Bertolt Brecht song, and it's actually Kurt Weill, Bertolt Brecht from Three Penny Opera, German song, and it just was turned inside out by Bobby Darin. But the version on this, the live version on this, is a fantastic arrangement, fantastic performance, and this is the first album that I ever got in the early 70s. I heard How High the Moon and Mac the Knife in my car one night driving through Golden Gate Park on my way home, and next day I got the album. It's that good. It's really an amazing performance. Another jazz one, which is kind of a fun thing. I wouldn't say it betters the original, but it's a different take. And this is a Ramsey Lewis. Ramsey Lewis, jazz piano player, the Ramsey Lewis Trio. This is a great album. You can find it cheap. Pick it up because it's great. He has obviously a version of Hang on Sloopy on here and A Hard Day's Night. But I love the version he does of And I Love Her, the Beatles song. Just so great from A Hard Day's Night. It's just a wonderful Lennon McCartney song, and the version, this is live, and it just, you hear the audience clapping and the ambiance of the room in this version, and it's just really great, like a piano instrumental version with that, just the drum track is so tight. It's just really a great version. It's Ramsey Lewis, And I Love Her. I had to pick one Beatles song at least. I'm going with another Donovan song, ironically, and this, again, a band that turns it inside out, and it's not labeled exactly as a cover version, but from Almond Brothers, Eat a Peach. They do a piece called Mountain Jam, which goes on literally the whole side of the record. I think it's on the extended version of Fillmore East, the box set. Mountain Jam is a great thing, but every once in a while they come back to the theme from First There Is a Mountain, then There Is No Mountain, then There Is, the great Donovan song I really like, There's a Mountain. This version, instrumental version, great guitar licks, great solos. Eat a Peach was probably, this is actually the first Almond Brothers record I bought way back. This is a later Japanese pressing of it, but I got into this album, then I went back and bought their earlier albums after that. But this is really great. And of course, live Fillmore is fantastic. So Mountain Jam, Donovan, First There Is a Mountain, then There Is a Mountain, then There Is. There is. You know what I'm talking about. Donovan gets represented twice here. Cover versions. This was probably an unusual choice only because I love Traffic, and this is sort of their more folky, traditional rock versions of these folk songs and jazzy rock, and it's an amazing record. This is when Traffic was down to a trio, and they do a version of John Barleycorn here. Now, John Barleycorn is a traditional English-Irish folk song. Some of you who know more about the lineage of that song can chime in here if you like. But it's a traditional and arrangement by Steve Winwood, and it's a great folk version. And it's extended, goes 6 minutes and 20 seconds. A very favorite album of mine. If you like folk rock, 60s, late 60s, early 70s, the English folk rock scene, this is a must-have. John Barleycorn, Must Die, title track based on the traditional folk song. An album I show quite a bit, an all-time favorite of mine, Delaney and Bonnie and Friends on Tour with Eric Clapton. And there's a lot of songs on here, several songs I could have mentioned, but I'm talking about Only You Know and I Know. And that's a song that was on the first Dave Mason album. Dave Mason wrote that. He joins them on this record, On the Road. Really great. This is a great rock and roll song. I always talk about Delaney and Bonnie and their harmonies and their white soul southern sound. Very, very good. And that drumming of Jim Gordon, probably one of the best driving rock and roll drummers ever, just keeps that beat going. And this is a fantastic record, but Only You Know and I Know, written by Dave Mason and covered on this album by Delaney and Bonnie and Friends. Okay, Nielsen Schmielsen, one of the biggest hits he ever had. Nielsen's one of the great songwriters of the 70s. Bar none. Him and Randy Newman, great American songwriters. Yeah, Paul Simon and a handful of others. But ironically, one of his biggest hits, the two his biggest hits he did were cover songs. I could have picked Everybody's Talking, the song that was a theme from Midnight Rider, the theme from Midnight Cowboy. It's a Fred Neil folk song, and Nielsen kind of made it his, and they used that version. But I'm talking about Without You. And this beats the original. The original is written by Evans and Ham, Pete Ham from Badfinger. Badfinger did record it. They do a great version of it, but he just made it in his vocals. I mean, one of the great vocalists of all times, Nielsen Schmielsen, doing Without You, great cover version of the Badfinger song, and was a huge, massive hit, Grammy-winning hit. Down to the final two, Joe Strummer, obviously, of The Clash, Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros Street Corps. He does a fantastic version on here of Redemption Song, the Bob Marley song that Bob Marley and the Wailers recorded. Amazing. You can't beat Bob Marley, but he does it a different way. The vocals on this are really wonderful. And there is another version, I believe it's the same backing track, his same vocal, but it's a duet with Johnny Cash. It's on Earth, one of the American label records produced by Rick Rubin, and it's a duet with Johnny Cash, and they trade off verses. I think it's the same take he does, and they cut out verse and they put in Johnny Cash. Either of them are great, but I just when I play this, I get chills down my spine, especially when I hear it after. I remember hearing this record a lot after he passed. Joe Strummer passed, and just his vocal on that's really great. He made it his in his own way. Obviously not a reggae version, it's more of a folk song in a way, and it's just incredible. Redemption Song, And lastly, I want to talk about someone that probably most of you have never heard of, and I don't even know of any of her albums. I'd like to hear them, is Rebecca Del Rio. Spanish singer, Mexican singer, I believe, and it's on the soundtrack of Mulholland Drive, which I do not have on vinyl. Obviously, the great, amazing David Lynch song. If you know the movie, there's a scene when our two leads are sitting in this sort of half-empty, kind of dark, dingy theater with red curtains, of course, and Rebecca Del Rio sings Llorando. Llorando is, she sings a Spanish language version of Roy Orbison's songs Crying, and she sings it a cappella. It's a chilling scene in the movie. It's a chilling song on this soundtrack. Go search it, seek it out on YouTube, Llorando. Take care. I love it. Nick Rudow, thank you. Mazzy loves you.